Hello everyone, and welcome again to Coming Home, Survive and Thrive in Homeschooling. Observing and listening to what people say and do is something I enjoy and find interesting. It gives me plenty of scope to think about life. I take particular note of family life and education, and hey presto, my thoughts after being mulled over often turn up in this podcast. This week's episode is a result of a couple of months of regularly thinking over what a mum of an adult child in his early 20s had decided to do and her reaction. She was asking my advice because she knew we had 5 adult children, and having met one of them, knew my advice was worth seeking. When someone is willing to be vulnerable in a situation like that, I am very careful what I say. It is a big responsibility to speak into someone's life, knowing what you say may hold an influence enough to bring change. That is both humbling and rewarding. She started to tell me how her son had applied for and was accepted into an international dance opportunity. However, rather than being excited and a time for his mother to be proud, he had turned it down. She was disappointed in him because after all the money and time going into dance classes, training, travelling and competitions over the years, now he was deciding he didn't want to dance as a career. I listened to her tell me the story, and although brief, it was full of hurt, confusion, and disappointment. Unknown to her, it also revealed her expectations of her adult son's success and his obligation to continue in a career in dance because of the time and money invested by his parents. There's a risk for parents to invest a lot of time and money in dance, only to seem to be wasted if there's no follow-through in adulthood. I'll pick this risk point up soon. Was she living her own dreams through her son? I know some may be thinking that. In this situation, I don't know. It wasn't mentioned, and I didn't see it to be so. It's possible that a mother not given opportunities like this in her childhood may pour them into her son and expect an outcome she thought she would have had given the same opportunity in her childhood. That involves more psychology than I know of. My response to her included my opinion that our children don't always follow paths we desire or hope they will, whether it's dance, sport, or even our faith. There's the real risk our children may not continue in them. It's important for parents to realize and accept the possibility of this risk from the early days, but nevertheless continue in the direction they wish to see the child go. Or, in the example of dance today, continuing lessons, provided the child still wishes it and it suits the family's finances. I have talked in a previous podcast about the time and money poured into children with many dance classes and a range of sports, lessening the time to be just children, or masterly inactivity as it is known in Charlotte Mason educational principles. In it, I spoke of the way our culture has trained parents to believe they are good parents if their children are involved in as many teams and classes as possible. The more a child is doing, the greater the evidence of how committed you are as a parent. You can find this train of thought in podcast number 26, so I'm not going to unpack this idea anymore today. Instead, I'm going to address the unspoken obligation between parent and child. the exchange of time and money returned as winning regularly or a successful career, in this case, dance. This disruption in the mother's expectation revealed a misplaced pride and an obligation for the child to continue because of what the parents had done for him. Here are some more thoughts on this. Think of the time and money input you are living now. How will you feel if your child doesn't want to pursue a career or qualify for a prestigious opportunity? Will you be annoyed? Why? Secondly, have you accepted and are at peace if your child doesn't pursue his sport or her dance in spite of the time and money you committed to it? Thirdly, honestly look in the metaphorical mirror and see how much kudos you enjoy because of your child's success or ability. There is a proper and godly sense of pride, but it doesn't take much for it to morph into a downfall. It wasn't called original sin for nothing. Number 4, the difference between copping out when the going gets tough and the genuine stopping because his heart's no longer in it is something you'll need the grace and patience to discern. Number 5, seriously consider how much time is being spent when your child could be being a child. Go back to the aforementioned podcast and think carefully about when is enough enough. Number 6, and closely related, ditto the money. Next, you need to find fulfillment and contentment in what you do, but not through your children. Where is this line? It's right and proper to be proud of your children. But when you go into an existential crisis, or even a small one, when your adult child leaves his dance or sports, you need to seriously do a self-audit. If necessary, get some counselling if you continue to struggle with this. Number 9, do not use a situation like this as leverage. It is a mistake to bring up how much money, time and commitment we put into you, and this is how you repay us. This is a disaster zone in a family and is dysfunctional. You will need to work on forgiveness if this keeps coming up in your thinking, let alone in real life. And number 10, earlier I mentioned your adult child leaving your faith as a valid sense of disappointment and loss. I'm not going to talk too much about this today, as I have an interview lined up which will spend more time on it. Only to say I know this affects a lot of Christian parents, and there's very little help in our churches for these families, and often a big sense of failure on the part of the parents. I promise we'll spend more time on this in the near future. I will see this mother again soon, and will ask her how things are going. When she first spoke to me, she had the grace to accept it was a risk on her part that her son may not pursue his dance, and that she didn't want it to cause a breach in their relationship. It is my hope and prayer she has navigated this disappointment and is at peace, or at least working on it. She has a strong and humble faith, so I have a reasonable hope all will be well eventually, and she will have grown in her faith as a result. Until next time, enjoy your children and embrace the life lessons you will learn in your parenting. Can I remind you that I am available for homeschooling consultations, coaching and counselling? Please email me at christine.smith@outlook.co.nz to talk through some possibilities. Bye for now.